when you look at him, how many of you recall you wanting to be someone like Usain Bolt? Or this guy? Or Tony Robbins? Now, why I brought these three big pictures in front of you is to talk about what I'm going to talk about. Now, we are in a tech world talking about technical terms, trying to relate these concepts into our personal life so that we go to work trying to adopt these concepts into our work life. Now, as an agile coach, the most challenging thing that I see is that people who are trying to adopt these concepts are not being able to understand what they are trying to adopt themselves. So it's a huge battle. So we are going to just spend 30 minutes, which I want to think big and try that. This 30 minutes is going to be best 30 minutes in your day-to-day, right? So thinking big, but doing something small. Let's see whether we can get there. Now, we all want to be great. All teams want to be high-performing teams. All organizations want to be at the notch, wanting to be the best companies in the world. But something that blocks us. That is not this. This is, of course, the great thing that you have to do. This one. So it's a bit of exaggeration, but I think what I'm telling is that either you don't act or you don't act enough. So the concept is very, very clear. Think big, act small. And that is the concept that's going to take you to the next level of your career. As a team, the next level of your team. And as a company, the next level, of course. So the concept is very simple. This is one of the 11 lean architectural concepts used by the lean world, particularly the technical teams, saying think big. In architectural terms, what it means is this. You may think the biggest architecture, most complex architecture to be implemented, but when you are agile, you don't have a lot of opportunity to spend a lot of time investing, working on the complex, the most demanding architecture, right? The principle suggests that you think big, think the big picture, the big architecture that you want to achieve, start small. But of course, what you do day-to-day life has to align with the big picture that you want to achieve later. So I couldn't introduce myself. So I'm Niroshan Madampitige. I work for a company called Gapstars, which is a startup, which is a Netherlands-based company. So my role there is to lead the agile transformation, working with all the teams, clients, and onboarding them to agile, and then letting them understand what we are trying to do with agile. And in addition to that, as a community work, I'm the co-founder of Scrum Meetups Colombo, so some of you would have heard it. I take pride working for these two entities. Now, what is it? Now, I took your time, about 4 minutes, taking you through some basic thinking. For you, what is it? Now, when you hear the term, when you look at the brochure, see that there's a term called think big, act small. It sounds very generic, isn't it? What is it? So let's see what exactly it means in some technical terms. So as I said earlier, this is one of the 11 lean architectural concepts which must be adopted by any technical lean company, or for that matter, any non-technical company as well in terms of the infrastructure and other stuff. And if you look at any great companies, any great people, any good personalities like what you saw, Tony Robbins for that matter, was born in a very poor family, didn't have food to eat. But there's something that happened in his life. Every day of his life, from one particular point, he thought he's going to act wisely. Thinking about a bigger picture that he want to achieve, he started acting small, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. And if you ask him now, What are you doing? What is a day of your life looks like? You will hear that, you will see that he's not going to waste his energy for unnecessary things. Now, it's the same thing, right? As a team, if you want to go at a greater goal, be a high-performing team, you can't be wasting your time. You can't be wasting your energy on conflicts and other politics, doing unnecessary things which are not aligned to your strategic goal. So this is exactly this concept suggests to you. The next thing that you want to know that is, if you look at big tech companies like Facebook, YouTube, Google, all these guys work in the same way. So I did a video about the same concept talking about Larry Page, where he started the Google Books. He just thought it wasn't a possibility at all at that time, right? Bringing all the books online wasn't a reality. So what he thought is, I'm going to try this out, just getting a computer, trying to scan the pages, put things in order. He started doing that, right? Gradually, he realized that this is something achievable. So he turned it to a bigger goal where he want to create the online bookstore, books library, and it's available now. So that's exactly this is coming from. So let's move on. Right, so I'm going to just spend about 3 minutes just to let you understand the same concepts in a much broader manner. Bring out one of my personal experience. Now, if you know me, you would probably know that I'm coming from a very, very underprivileged family where my small days was not anything to do with something like this, standing on a stage like this, doing an agile coaching for an international audience. It was pretty much just working as a poor village boy, playing around the things, working with the colleagues and doing the same stuff. But one thing changed my life. That is the dream that my father wanted me to achieve. He had a big dream for me, so I gradually got that. So my small day, from small days to about A-level, after A-levels, it was not so easy. It was so troublesome. But I kept going. And in 2000, I became a lecturer at John Keys Institute. It was a nice job until I walked into the class. So as I walked into the class, students looked at me as if a criminal enters to the class. I was so incompetent. I looked at the board as if I just wanted to read the stuff. All what I wanted to do is breathe. So I was so incompetent there, I knew that I'm not going to handle it. Students end up laughing and making me a matter of fun-making thing. So I left the class as if I lost the entire world. It took some few days for me to realize that that's okay, let me go through it. I have a bigger vision, and I'm not going to quit this. Now, if you were there watching me, what I exactly did from that point, 3 years consecutively, you'd advise me that, this is not the right job for you. Standing in front of a small class, still struggling to explain what you're trying to explain. So I didn't give up, right? So thinking about the big picture, all what I did was focus on one particular day. All what I wanted to do, all what I had to do is that focus on the next lecture, right? Because I didn't want to fail, go and fail in the next lecture. So all what I did was focus my total energy preparing for the contents, preparing for the next day lecture, trying to gain more confidence inside me. It didn't work for some time, many months, many years, right? It was 2003, exactly after 3 years, when I gained some confidence that I can do this. And students, of course, started liking me. More than the language, it was the contents. So with that, I went on until 2007. I'm humbled to say that I became a postgraduate lecturer, appearing in front of 100 audience, 100 of postgraduate students, and delivering the first lecture. So from that point, it wasn't so tough for me to stand in front of an audience and start working on it. So for me, this is a bigger goal, so that is how I got there. right? Now, let me ask you, now, what happens when I tell you this story to you? Now, you all want probably here to learn more technical stuff, terms, concepts, etc. Anyone kind of disagree? No, this is not going to be the right talk. Do you think that? Probably. That's fine. So bear with me. I'm going to kind of let you realize that it's not the case, right? So what I'm saying is that this concept is so general, so practical, something that you all have to apply in your personal life. So let's move on. Now, in order to get this right, there's a magical concept. Have you ever heard this term? Can you raise the hands if you have heard of it? Anyone? No? Oh, I'm surprised. Have you heard of anticipation? That is what the traditional project management world believe in. You anticipate that things will go right. Now, empirical process control is derived from artificial intelligence world. If you look at a robot, how a robot works, exactly the same way. So this has 3 pillars. Number 1, visibility. Right? Personally, if you want to be successful, you got to have the complete visibility yourself. Right? If you try to hide the things under the carpet and think that things will go right, it's not going to happen. So get the things visible. In a team perspective, what the team does needs to be visible to the relevant people. Product owners, product leadership, stakeholders, clients, everyone should know what's happening. The team, of course, needs to know what exactly happening in them, right? So the second pillar is the inspection. What does that mean? So you do the things, make them visible, let the people around you inspect, give you the feedback. So you create repetitive feedback loops so that the audience, or the team or the people around you will give you feedback, say, this works. Hey, they will say, this doesn't work, you got to adjust. So the inspection is that you are basically looking at the things with the learning mind, with the intention of learning from the situation. The third pillar is the adoption. So it goes like in a sequence manner, right? You make the things visible, inspect it, and adapt, right? So if you have worked in a Scrum team, that is exactly you try to do. All what you do in your Scrum teams or any Agile team got to be this. You make the things visible, right, appropriately, inspect the things with the learning mindset, and adapt it, right? So what should be the approach? We understand it, right? So anyone can guess what do you think the right approach should be? We spoke about anticipation against this, right? So anticipation doesn't work. You can anticipate things will go right, but it will never go right. Things gonna fall down. So anticipation won't work. What works is empirical process control, right? These 3 pillars has to be placed. Okay, so any guesses? Anyone? What should be the way or the approach that we have to follow? Let's not take time, right? There's something called planning onion. Anyone heard of it? Planning onion? Second term, of course, you would have heard, right? So planning is the issue, isn't it? So this is the magic. As an Agile coach, I live with this, right? Without this, I cannot do my job. Now, that said, right, letting people understand what exactly this does practically is challenging. So what it does is this. Your planning is not going to be just tactical now. For example, right, what you do right now got to be aligned with your vision, right? 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, you want to be someone. And if you sit in the wrong room, right, you're not doing the right thing. But first, before you come to this room, you need to understand what's your vision, right? So that's exactly what it does. So career-wise, professionally, if you believe that in 10 years' time, this is where I exactly want to be, right? one of these three things will fit into your dream. So start with the vision. Second, roadmap. I can tell you 9 out of 10 companies, now 9 out of 10 teams totally miss this. They think the backlog is the only thing, right? I argue, no, that doesn't work. So get that clear. The third is a release. Now, what is it? Now, think about my journey, right? Now, definitely this is not my end, right? I have a bigger dream. Now, I'm somewhere in middle or starting, okay? So I have to have a vision, I have to have a roadmap. Then, once I have the roadmap, what I'm doing is I'm setting set of goals to achieve in many years, maybe 2-3 years' time. So in that roadmap, there'll be individual goals. So I'm going to take these goals one by one or set by set and try to achieve. Right? Coming and appearing on this stage is one of them because I applied for it. Right? Won it, came here. So that's just ticking one box and saying done. Probably it's not a release, but there will be a set of other talks that I want to tell you. So I'm going to take you through that. So do you understand it? Is it relevant? Okay, so the next thing is iteration. So mostly the teams are just stuck from here. They are just think about the releases, iterations, and the third one called daily scrum. But they don't realize that what they do here got to be aligned with that. Got what I'm saying? So let's try to be more practical. So we have 13 minutes, out of which I'm going to use about 8 minutes more so that I'll open the floor for questions for about 5 minutes. Again, now, even though every company has a vision, there's a problem there. Do you remember your company's vision? Anyone? I'll give you something, right? I'll ask an organizer to provide something. So I'll provide you if you tell your company's vision just now. No one, right? I don't as well because my company's vision is so complex to understand, right? Now, if you have heard, when NASA worked on the moon project, if you ask a janitor, programmer, support staff, what are you doing? They had just one question. We are sending a man on the moon. Now, that is what the vision should be. It should be something compelling, pulls people for it, right? So if you want to be great, think yourself, what is your vision? If you are in a bigger team wanting it to go from good to great, think what should be the team's vision. Start there, right? So I'm going to give you a strategy to write down your vision. So this is what we discussed. Okay, so start this way, right? I'll tell you this is practical, hard to convince people, but it's possible, right? So you start with the vision statement. For example, now I'm actually taking my personal experience such a way it doesn't harm me, right? So my vision got to be one particular aspect is speaking, right? So on that, I'm going to talk about the purpose. It should be a positive change, shared, big enough, but concise. And slogan like saying it in 10 words, 15 words maximum. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So when you work on a vision for you or your team, your organization, think about that. The next thing that you're going to talk about are the needs. So needs is basically telling you that think about the user's perspective. Why should you have a vision like that? Now, for me to be a speaker, it shouldn't be just a personal thing, right? Then you are not going to accept it as the audience. So there has to be something shared. Why do you want me as a speaker is a question. So think about it, right? Main benefits or primary reason for your existence. Second, target group. What is it? Now, I have a very clear picture. I don't want to go to a women conference and start talking there, right? because my audience is not them at the moment. I can add value, but it's not aligned with what I'm trying to do. So it got to be one specific audience if you want to be effective. Product, what is it? Now as a speaker, what do I have? Right? I can't come and tell my personal story and leave, right? So I have to have some message. What is it? What is a product? As a team, what is your product? As an organization, what is it? You got to kind of think that deeply. The next thing is the business goals. Now, these are the needs. Those are the business goals. Now, that is where my objectives come in. What do I want out of it? What do I want it, right? Want from there. So this is my actual vision statement on speaking area. So I'm not going to go through it. Just wanted to go through it, but time won't fit there. So I'll leave it for the moment and go to the next strategy. So remember, this is a golden concept, right? And this is a golden step. If you do this in your teams, in your personal life, you're going to go from good to great for sure. So the road mapping is that, right? So it's absolute must. And to tell you how important this is, so you all have used a sat nav, right? What does sat nav does? Tells you the next few moves. Go from here to here, turn, take the left turn, etc., right? It won't tell you and ensure that you will end up at your destination. And that is why this happens, right? You end up, now, I mean, I have personally got there, right? So that is where the roadmap is required, okay? So I'm going to give you a strategy to come up with your roadmap as well. So personally or professionally in your workplace, this works. The timeline, so if you have 10 goals, or let's say 3 goals, you're going to have 3 columns like this. First goal, right? In my case, be an internationally recognized speaker on agile domain. Concise enough, clear to me, and I understand it, right? Second, name of the release or milestone. Now, technical term is that, right? What it means is, what do I do in next 3 months, right? I have to have a very, very focused mindset there. So what I decided is this: be an internationally recognized speaker on agile domain, and what I have to add is basically target 3 speaking opportunities in the agile domain. It doesn't need to be a conference like this, but any opportunity, right? Third, goals. So I'm going to list down a set of goals that I'm going to achieve. One is be a CSP. Second, speak in 2 more international agile conferences. Complete 2 large agile transformation projects internationally, and get involved in community projects and other engagements to deliver value, right? The next, features. What do I demonstrate? Completion of CSP, that is Certified Scrum Professional. I got that with the way I plan. Speak in 2 more international agile conferences, 2 transformational projects completed within about 3 to 4 months' time. Key measures. So this is another thing that we miss, right? You got to understand how you're going to measure your success, right? Individually, if you want to achieve something, right? I'm sure all of you, I know all of you came up with a goal, right? Plan your goals for 2017. I'm not sure how many of you will remember what they are, right? That's because you didn't have set of measures also. So think about set of things that you want to check to see whether this is achieved. Now in Scrum terms, this is what we do with DOD, definition of done. What is it? How do we know that we have done a story? So those are 2 steps. What are those? Come up with a vision. Second, road mapping. Third is what you do. But let's see what difference we can add there. Execution is the 3rd step. So we have a roadmap. So we have planned our achievements for the next 3 to 4 months. And probably what I suggest is start using Kanban, if not Scrum, right? So I'm just going to base my advice on this. Now, in doing that, I want you to adopt just 3 things, right? Roadmap. So when you do the Kanban, just don't focus on the tactical moves, right? So work on this format. Come up with the roadmap goals here, then release priorities. For each release priority, come up with set of stories. So example, the top row is just one release priority. So all the stories, all the tasks that you do will capture that, okay? So there are 3 things that you have to get right in doing this. Number 1 is visualization. So you got to create the Kanban such a way it visualizes things for you or your team, your organization. It's clear enough, right? The second thing is terrible mistake by most of us. We think we have to do a lot. It doesn't work in agile work. All what you have to focus is the topmost priority. If you know what is the top priority for you for the day, that is what you should work on, nothing else. So when others ask you to work on other things, refuse or clarify what happens to this top priority, right? So that is the second thing. And the third thing is to manage the entire flow. So if I'm doing well in this year, I will see that there are things that are done, there are things in progress, there are things yet to be done. None of them can be empty at any point of time. Thank you very much. That's pretty much what I have to say. And we have 3 minutes and 26 seconds for questions. Maybe we can extend a few minutes. So,
in the agile process, when it comes to the roadmap, so as you say, is a very important in the agile process.
Yep.
So just I wanted to know that how it's helpful for the, especially for the developer, other than, for example, product owner or either clients, so or product manager, that would be very helpful roadmap. So we have backlog and we have planning meetings and groomings and priority list.
Yeah.
So how this roadmap will help for the developers?
So it's like if you want to go to Kataragama, right? I mean, you as a person who goes there should know where you are heading. Otherwise, you're not going to end up there for sure. Now, same way, it's a practical problem. Most of the teams, developers won't think about that. I think if you are in a leadership position, right, at least a lead position, can I know what's your role?
Yeah, I'm Scrum Master and Product Owner.
Excellent. So your responsibility is to let the team know, let every individual know what we are trying to achieve as an organization, as a team. Otherwise, all what you expect from them is doing the day-to-day work, right? It doesn't do any difference than the traditional way of working, because we don't want that. Now, if you want the teams to be empowered, self-organized, the teams have to understand the big goal, the big picture, right? So that is where this is important. Then they can innovate. I have a lot of experience where I saw when we made developers aware that what is the roadmap, what is the big picture, they come up with unbelievable innovative ideas. So then we take them to the leadership team and discuss and incorporate them. So it's challenging for the moment in the current organization setup, but I think that is what, as a Scrum Master, you should target for. So let me use that for summation. So the concept we discuss is think big, act small. It's a so valuable concept. I live by that. At least try. And that means what I do right now is definitely linked to what I have to achieve in 10 years later. So with that, I'm going to end it. Thanks a lot for your coordination. We'll see you somewhere.